Hello dear Phasmatic friends! Today we are solving quadratic equations with imaginary solutions using the method of completing the square. Follow me please. Well, first of all we identify that it is a quadratic equation, and after that we remember that we cannot start with coefficients with the x squared. So if here you have 1 over 2, you have to divide all the equation by 1 over 2. And if here you have negative 3, you divide all the equation by negative 3, etc. So 1 over 2 divided by 1 over 2 is 1x squared plus 1 divided by 1 over 2, remember 1 divided by 1 over 2, you multiply 1 times 2, 2, and 1 times 1, 1. And 2 divided by 1 is 2x. Finally, the same, 1 divided by 1 over 2 is 2, and 0 divided by 1 over 2 is 0. Now, remember the method. You are isolating the terms with x. You leave one space. You write the plus 2. You leave another space and you write the 0. Now, the method is you add something divided by 2 squared. But if you add, you subtract the same to get an equivalent expression. And remember that here you are going to put the number that is with the x. Now we simplify. X squared plus 2x, and 2 divided by 2 is 1, squared is 1. And here, remember, you have a trinomial. Very, very important. And here, plus 2 minus 2 divided by 2 is 1, squared is 1. And now remember, you must factorize the trinomial. So, we write a parenthesis, squared, and here the square root of the first term, the square root of the second term, and the sign. So the square root of x squared is x, square root of 1 is 1, and you copy the sign. And after that, plus 2 minus 1 is plus 1. But, pay attention please. You can never write a positive sign here because you need a difference of squares to continue. So if here you have plus 1, you need to write minus 1. It is very, very important for completing the square to do that. Always a negative sign here. So if you get a positive sign, you write negative, negative, because negative times negative is positive. Very, very, very important. So, as I told you, here you have a difference of squares. So, how do we solve a difference of squares? We put brackets or parentheses, no matters, and with a positive sign, with a negative sign, and you calculate the square root of the first term separated by a negative sign of the second term. So the square root of the first term here and the square root of the second term. Now pay attention please. You don't need the parentheses, so you write x plus 1, and the square root of negative 1 is always imaginary. And here the same. Finally, when you have two factors that are multiplying, obviously, equal to 0, you are going to write the first factor equal to 0 and the second factor equals to 0. And this is a very simple equation. X equals to negative 1 minus I. And here x equals to negative 1 plus I. You can also write negative I, negative 1, or plus I, negative 1. But that's the same. We have finished. That's the method of completing the square when you have imaginary solutions. Thank you very much. See you next video. Goodbye.